welcome back to another Saturday morning creative session. And this week we're going to go back into pure creativity and just seeing what the clay kind of brings out for us, what we see. You know, this is one of the best and funnest things that I find with sculpting. Whether it is, we've gone through a few of the other ideas to where just throwing the clay down and seeing what shapes come out and what we can create. There's other times to where, you know, we started out with a shape and just kind of saw what we could create within that shape and, you know, using our imagination to see what we could kind of make out of it by twisting it and things like that. There's other times with a lot of my warm-ups to where I just start out with my pipe and my ball of clay and just start with a face and see where the face takes me. So this is another one of those exercises to where I'm not sure where this is going to end up. All I do know is we're going to create something. I was going to say we're going to create a face, but we might not even do that. It might be an animal, a creature. It will turn out to be a head of some sort, and you can eventually turn it into a plaque if you want, because I'm going to do it on a board. However, besides that, we're just going to wait and see what the clay kind of shows to us. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you guys down to the board. And we're going to get started. Either grabbing a lump of clay or grabbing a fresh slab of clay. The idea here is just to basically freshly grab it and kind of just throw it around. Sometimes just pulling the clay, you know, from the slab, you might see something. And basically you're just taking the ball and looking at it and seeing what is it that I see? What can I create out of this? Sometimes you'll have to kind of play around with it or fold in on itself. You know, something like this, just because of that, you can already see that I could easily turn this into a mouth. And then maybe build up and create a little eye. He doesn't even need to have eyes. Who said creatures need to have eyes? A little split here in his bottom lip would kind of seem to be a cut or something like that for me. But look at these pieces. Even, I don't know, even something weird like this, having it go this way with, you know, doing something like a face or a head up here with like a shroud or something wrapped around. But basically the idea for this is just to look at the clay and see what pops out and what you can make out of it. Turn it around, flip it in different directions. Here, you can see also, at least what I see is, I see a mouth here, I see an eye here, and then this just kind of turns in on itself. So maybe a deformity or a really bad scar that healed really weird. Let's go ahead and do something with that. I'm going to do something like that. So with this, how it kind of just goes out the back, I'm just going to cut that off. And you can just kind of push it down onto the board. And then just all those shapes that you saw with the clay, within the clay itself, just kind of bring those out a little bit and add to them. So we're going to start with that eye area. I'm going to add a little bit more of a cheekbone. And then up here around the mouth, I'll kind of dig that in just a little bit more. So grabbing a loop tool, I'm actually going to dig out that mouth just a little bit more. And I'll add some clay at the edge. That'll be the corner of the mouth. Actually, open it up just a little bit. Because this is already kind of a nice shape, just kind of going over those lines and accentuating them a little bit. And it's almost like they cut his eye out or he lost his eye, and the way that they stitched it up really healed really weird. Can even roll up some clay, make it a little bit even wilder, and we're going to put stitches across here. Rolling the clay on the actual board rather than between your hands will actually give you a little more control to get it even thinner than you can between your hands. There we go. And I'm going to do some weird uneven stitches. Some that cross over, some that don't. All right. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm actually going to accentuate this bump or weird abnormality up on his head a little bit more, to where it's even coming out as a horn or something. Also on the back here, I've noticed this little flare that comes out the back, and I'm actually going to accentuate that and turn it into an ear. Make it a little bit bigger. And because this character is weird, I'm going to give him 2 ears, but the other one is going to be sticking up on this side. Right back here like that. Everything else on his head is uneven and doesn't match up, and it's a little strange, so we're just going to continue with that and keep going, making everything about him weird and unusual. There's already a little bit of a dip underneath the cheekbone, so I'm thinking that that is another weird scar from his battles or fights. Or another, abnormality or something. Continue his mouth on this side. I'm going to have it go down just a little bit. Okay. So, now, you've already, we didn't do a whole lot of work on this. However, as you can see, we already have a fun little face character that you probably wouldn't have thought of on your own. And that's the fun I have in a lot of these pieces, to where you just start building up and you see what kind of shapes come out of it. And doing a few of these fun little exercises every once in a while will not only help you to see new characters, but you'll be able to bring to life some characters that you never even considered or thought possible. Alright, so as I was saying that, I pulled apart a little bit of clay, and here I see another type of character. I see a horn right here, one of those big curling horns, almost like a ram horn, coming into a face here, maybe make an eye right here, and this would be his mouth, and the top of his head right here. Maybe like a big bull or something, because he has a little bit smaller of a head, but this is looks like it goes into a larger part of the body. So I'm just going to kind of smack that down and see what I can actually bring out of this. So like I said, I see an eye right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out, and actually I'm going to do some comparative things for you guys. I'll do some images. So let me take a picture of this so that I can show you guys before and after, and I'll try to put them up on the screen at the very end of this video. So I'm going to go in and basically just indent the eyes a little bit. A little bit bigger than I was planning. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that or if I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. Kind of go in, reestablish this mouth and how big it is, how far back it actually goes. And same thing with this big horn. I'm actually, don't want to take clay from that one. I actually going to make this horn even bigger and kind of have it stick out a little bit farther on top instead of being so flat. and then just go in and kind of accentuate the edges. And then for this, just to get it blocked in and basic, I'm going to start scoring in lines to add a little bit of a texture to the horn. Now coming down to the side or the top of it and kind of extending it to the other side, I am going to add a little hint of a horn that would be on the other side against the board, just to kind of even it out. And it's just going to be basically duplicating the top part here, maybe making 1 or 2 lines. The face at the front has a weird indentation where the clay kind of folded over on itself, and I don't really want that for this. So I'm just smoothing it out, and he kind of has a squared off face, front of the face. Putting in a ball of clay for the eyeball, just kind of bringing the edges down. So here you see a second character, another fun little creature or something, just that we created simply because we were actually looking and seeing, you know, different shapes. And as you do this a little more often, have fun with it a little more often, you'll start seeing more characters, more shapes, more things in the clay. And again, we're just kind of this will help to kind of learn to see a little bit better. So I'm going to compare this one for you guys also. But what I see here is this one's more towards like a dinosaur skull. So, you know, I see an eye socket here, a little bit of a cheekbone with the zygomatic bone going towards the back of the head. Here would be where the mouth is, that actually will go all the way underneath. A little hint of a snout right there. But yeah, I'll go ahead and do the other thing. I'm going to go ahead and do this, but the other thing is that you don't have to cut the back off. You can actually look at it and actually create something in the round as well. So this one's kind of like mangled up on this side. I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything with that, but I'm not going to cut this off and put it on the board. So I'm just going to kind of play with it, and if the other side, if I can kind of figure out what I want to do, I'm kind of thinking that maybe that'll be like a broken skull. But I'm just going to go in here. I dug out the eye a little bit. I'm going to cut in to where this is. And just kind of digging into the mouth and how it kind of curves in on this side, kind of keep that maybe as a deformed lab experiment type of thing, like somebody trying to create their own monster or a scientist trying to bring back their own dinosaurs, and you have some little misfit thing happening here. Kind of dig in right here for this nostril. I'm going to create my own on this side. The fun thing to notice here is that you're just kind of building up, and even though a lot of the design is there in the clay, you're kind of accentuating it and really just kind of bringing it out. And here, what I actually just saw is that we have a little indentation that looks like an eye that's closed. So I'm just going to kind of dig that out just a little bit more. And I actually really love these folds, these stretch marks here, so I'm going to keep those. All right, so there you go. You're another little character or creature. Now, all three of these are their own little designs, their own little creatures that were fun to play with. Now, you can use these as little warm-ups, just kind of getting you into the creative mode and kind of flexing, you know, what you can see and what you're allowing, you know, the clay to show you. You can use these as experiments to kind of do some character design and seeing what kind of comes out. Or you can have fun with these and just try to create some new pieces that you're actually going to take a little bit farther and actually complete. But the whole purpose of this is just to have fun, just to enjoy the process and really enjoy making these characters. Some of you guys are going to see animals. Some of you guys are going to see monsters. Some of you guys are going to see people. It all depends on, you know, what you're interested in creating and going after. It's just like looking up at the clouds and seeing what kind of shapes you see, or looking at like a marble wall or stucco wall and seeing what the shapes kind of bring to you. And as you do this a little more often, you'll start to see more and more shapes appear. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this, and I want to see what you guys can create. Definitely just grab some clay, pull it straight from the bag and see if you see anything. Look at it from all different directions. Have fun with these characters and go out there and get creative. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week.